We are live from Last Out Media Studios at Feasterville/Trevos. We are Combat Misfits. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We've got a packed show for you. We have 2 events this weekend, and we've got breaking news to break into. First, I would like to introduce my co-host, Chris Thedick. Good evening. How are you, sir?
What's going on, man?
And my producer, Benny Quinn. What's going on, man?
Hello. I'm strapping on my gloves and get ready to fight Frank Gore.
Oh, we've got a lot of action to cover today. We are pumped as usual to get into the combat news. We've got breaking news that just broke an hour ago. I would like to get Chris's thoughts. Jorge Masvidal out of UFC 269. What do you make of it, man? That was a fight we were pumped for.
I was really excited for it, man. I'm really shocked to hear that Jorge got pulled. Like, it's just really unfortunate. It was just kind of surprising on top of that, too, seeing why he got... Well, I'm curious to see what his injury is. Like, I wonder what his injury is for him to get pulled. Yeah. Or for him to pull himself. Well, I don't know who pulled the trigger on that. Him or the doctors, I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah, so it broke about an hour or two ago. Jorge Masvidal is out of his fight with Leon Edwards at UFC 269. It is heartbreaking news, you know, and this is what I want to talk about because, like, I love when they announce these fights, right? Months and months ahead of the actual bout, and then it leaves you biting your fingernails. Like, come on, nobody get injured. This card is stacked. We were talking about it for weeks, you know, that we were so pumped. Dustin Poirier is going for the lightweight title against Charles Oliveira. Amanda Nunes is on there, the GOAT of women's MMA.
Yeah.
And you know, and then we had that third fight, man, with Jorge Masvidal and Leon Edwards, which was a potential #1 contender for Kamaru Usman. Not official, but I mean, come on, let's be real. You know, they're very closely ranked amongst Kamaru Usman, and there was nobody else. You know, we were talking about it for weeks, and now the fight is off. So I'd like to get into Chris's thoughts right now. Mm-hmm. What is the fight to make if Leon decides to stay on this card, which you would think he would.
He probably will. Yeah.
Who's going to step in?
My opinion, Chimaev.
Khamzat Chimaev.
I think that would probably be the best thing to do, only because Usman hasn't fought Leon Edwards or Chimaev. So if one of them wins, I think that would be a pure #1 contender bout.
First, we are live on YouTube. So for everybody watching, chime in, comment on the video below, subscribe, and so that you're notified when we go live twice a week, and give us your comments. Who do you think is going to step in against Leon Edwards? And now this is all thought and theory because, Leon may wait. Leon may decide to go off the card in general and may wait for that Jorge Masvidal fight. But let's be real. If you're a fighter, you want to stay on that card, man. You want to have a Merry Christmas and get that extra loot before Christmas comes rolling in. And let's be real. I mean, Leon Edwards is ranked number 3. You don't want to sit on the sidelines any more than you need to.
Well, like Dana White always says, don't wait. I'm telling you, don't wait. You're going to miss your opportunity. And he's right. I think he'll miss. If Leon sits out of this card, he's going to miss his title shot.
Yeah.
I strongly believe that.
The timing is just right. I mean, Kamaru Usman just defended his belt last weekend, this past Saturday. I mean, you want to be on that timing, whereas you would fight in December, be able to heal up, and potentially fight for that belt
in the summer.
Or spring. It only seems right, man. I mean, but for Jorge, man, this has got to be just terrible.
I think Chimaev is loving that. He's like, this is my shot. I didn't get punched or got hurt or took any time off after my last fight. I'm ready to go. Leon Edwards is going to fight in a couple 3 to 4 weeks, and Chimaev is ready. He says, I'm ready. I'm pretty sure he probably already announced, hey, I want to fight too. I think that's the only fight to make. It's the only fight that makes sense. Leon Edwards fights Chimaev, and if Chimaev dominates Leon Edwards, I think he'll see Usman pretty soon.
Yeah. I mean, see, it's crazy. The timing is just almost perfect for Chimaev. I mean, he just comes off of that win against Ling Jingaling, whatever.
Wow.
I'm sorry, man. I'm saying Lee Jingaling, but it's very close to Dingaling, let's be real. I'm sorry, man. But it's one. But let's be real. Kamaru Usman, he defended his belt against Colby Covington, and this is his shot. This is Khamzat's shot right now. He just broke into the top 10 of the rankings, which is, awesome. He's 11-0. He says he's here to make a statement. He's willing to fight anybody.
Yeah.
And he's, from what I hear on Google, this dude on all the media outlets right now, he is thriving for that fight. He's begging for that fight against Leon Edwards. And this is his way of making that statement, man.
Yeah, I think the best part for Chimaev is to keep going while it's hot. Because right now, he's like a hot fighter right now. Like, he's winning. People are talking about him in the news. Keep your name relevant.
Yeah.
And so get back out there, fight again. And if he dominates Leon Edwards, then it's almost him going to fight, I would say, maybe Colby Covington or Usman. Or Colby can fight Jorge next. What do you think about that? Jorge comes back from injury. He fights Colby Covington. Or he could possibly fight Nick Diaz, who's been trying to call him out for a bit since he fought his brother, Nate.
I think that's a fight, man, that you want, because when you think about it, like it's just perfect. Depending on how long it's going to take Colby Covington to heal up, and he was pretty beaten up against Kamaru.
Well, the thing is, with Jorge, you don't know how bad his injury is, so it could take a couple months, and Colby will be all right in a couple months. I think that's the thing with Jorge. He needs a rival. I think he needs an enemy. So Nick, enemy. Colby, enemy. Leon Edwards was definitely an enemy. I think that's what Jorge needs, is someone to be a rival with to get into a fight. Because he tried to hype himself up against Usman. It wouldn't really work. In my opinion, I don't think it really worked. I think he needs a real rival to get into a good fight.
I'm a little nervous for Jorge because knowing Jorge as a fighter, and watching him as during his fight path, I'm a little nervous that this injury may be pretty significant, or he wouldn't have said anything. It had to have been something for him to be like, look, man, I can't hide this injury. Like,
Yeah.
For him to pull out, because most fighters, they're in it to fight, so if they can hide the injury, they're going to try.
Right.
I'm a little nervous that it could be something significant that had happened in training. I mean, the timing is right. He's obviously in training camp, for this fight right now, and it's just really, really depressing to hear that this news broke today, and I just don't, I don't know, because you say Nick Diaz would want that fight with Jorge, right?
Yeah.
Because he fought Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz is also looking for a fight, whether it's at lightweight, whether it's at welterweight. He's fought at both divisions. So
Nate just wants out of his contract. That's the problem.
that's what I'm saying. So he's thriving for a fight. So, I mean, Nate Diaz may even try to be getting in with Leon Edwards, but Leon Edwards already beat Nate Diaz, so it's not going to be in his favor to get this potential fight with Leon again. It could go either way, and this is all theoretical. We don't know what's going to happen. If Leon's going to stay on this card. I would hope he does. And if it, because a lot of people have been vibing for this fight. They're also saying Bilal Muhammad. He's a little higher up in the rankings. He's not in the top 5 right now. I mean, when you look at the rankings, like we looked on Sunday, I mean, everybody was pretty much tied up with a fight, so it's like, I don't really know, who it could be. It's definitely not going to, it could be Gilbert Burns, could be. Gilbert Burns is ranked number 2, but, with him coming off of a loss against Kamaru Usman back in February, I don't know. Vicente Luque's also been thriving for a fight. He's been trying to get the fight with Nate Diaz, and he's saying Vicente's come out in interviews and being like, bro, I'm training for as if this fight is actually happening. He's been saying on several occasions that he's in training camp, and the fight hasn't even been announced if he's fighting Nate Diaz, but he don't give a crap. He's going in there and he's training in hopes that this fight does get announced. I don't really know, because now this throws everything off. It takes the welterweight division for a loop, because if they did have potential thoughts of, Leon and Jorge being that number 1 contender, now it's like, wow, like what do you do? I mean, it just really throws off the division, and it throws off the people in the number 5 and up, so like Stephen Thompson, where does he fit in this picture? Michael Chiesa, like all these ones that are thriving to get into that top 5, now they're.
I think the thing is too, they have to be more active. Like they have to be more pushing on getting a fight, like Chimaev is doing with Leon Edwards. Like he's like, oh, I'm ready. You want to go? I'm ready. Someone pulled out. I'm ready. Be active. Like, announce that you want to fight again.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, I'll just wait for Dana to call me. Hey, Mike Chiesa, you want to fight Stephen Thompson? Like, come on, give me a break.
He's the best one for this fight. He literally in the past 4 fights that he's had in the UFC, he's been hit like maybe 1 time, I think. I don't know. I mean, Diego's chiming in. No chance Leon fights Chimaev. I don't know, man. I mean, Chimaev he's being a dog for this fight, man. He's willing to step in, and this is his time, man. If you want to make a statement, you're 11-0. You're undefeated. I believe you're the only undefeated fighter in the welterweight division. I mean, I don't think there's anybody, at least in the top 10 that's undefeated, except for him. Like he's the one, man, that, would make this fight interesting. Because, like, let's be real. Leon Edwards fights Bilal Muhammad. That shit ain't selling. You know,
No.
that ain't even gonna be a good UFC fight night main event. You know, like that's not the fight to do. You could make Leon Edwards versus Hamzat Chimaev, and that would be I wouldn't say
It'd be
it would
a sell plate.
It'd be a sell plate. You know, let's be real. I mean, it doesn't really need to be on that card per se. It could be on a fight night and be a good seller on that. I don't think it would sell its own on a pay-per-view on its own as the main event. You know, but it's his time, man. I believe it, Diego. I do, man. Like if Hamzat wants to be a champion, this is his time to shine. You got to surpass that top 3 ranked fighter, you know? And then you could, you know, potentially, I don't know what's going on with the rankings because Colby Covington lost. I think he'll drop a little bit, but I don't know if it'll be right now because, you know, with Leon Edwards potentially still staying on the card, we're going to have to see, you know, where this goes. But the welterweight division, it's in a loop right now, man. It needs some saving. And in my opinion, Hamzat's the guy, man. You know, he's the guy.
We had to wait and see. I think he needs to fight a good fighter, like a ranked fighter. He didn't fight nobody ranked yet, so we'll see. See what he does against Leon Edwards. If that happens, Leon Edwards, I think that's a good test for Chimaev to see where he really stands at.
Yeah.
He needs to fight a good ranked fighter.
I mean, in my opinion, though, I just don't see him beating a Kamaru Usman. Kamaru Usman, dude, there have been a lot of talks since the pay-per-view of him being the GOAT of the welterweight division, and I don't think, like, there's really many fights left for him to make a statement as surpassing George St. Pierre. I mean, GSP was great in his own time. This is a different time. Kamaru Usman is fighting different, stacked, dominant people like that have really. I mean, Colby Covington's no bum, bro. I mean, a lot of people thought, like, you know, a lot of people gave him a lot of hate and everything. But let's be real, man. Colby Covington got to his position twice. You know, there is no mistake. A lot of people were saying he didn't belong in that fight with Kamaru over the weekend. Let's be real, man. He made his spot in that welterweight division, and now I think I think Hamzat could steal that shine, at least get to the top.
We have to see him fight a top-ranked fighter. We can't just say push him to a title shot. We don't know what he's like first in a top 5 fighter.
But it takes opportunities like this, right? Because without this opportunity, without this miracle happen, you know, God forbid, I hope Jorge Masvidal heals up quick, you know, and gets back in there and shines. But it takes opportunities like this for somebody like a top 10 ranked opponent to be like, ooh, I could potentially get my name up there rather quickly, you know?
Yeah, because if Chimaev beats Leon Edwards, then we're having a totally different conversation on December 12th. Because the fight's on December 11th, and if he fights on December 11th, we would have a totally different conversation on December 12th. Oh,
yeah. And I can't wait for that conversation. I really can't. See. I'm so psyched for UFC 269. Regardless, it's very disappointing. Jorge Masvidal is off the card, but let's be real. We still got 2 title fights, and when the GOAT is on the card, Amanda Nunes, I'm pumped, you know, and Dustin Poirier, you know, it may be his time. He may end 2021 as a lightweight, as a freaking champion. Yep. I'm so pumped, man. I am looking forward to that card. Whether, you know, it's still a month away, you know, and we're gonna have to see if, you know, if Leon wants to stay on that card with a, you know, with having an opponent on 1 month's notice, you know, and he's already training for a certain opponent. He's already training for Jorge, you know. Do you want to risk it? We're gonna have to see, you know.
Yep.
But that's the news, man. So we're gonna have to find out. We'll probably find out rather quickly what happened to Jorge. You know, if they do disclose the injury of what he suffered. And let's hope it's very, very minute, you know. But we've got other news. We've got Jake Paul news because a lot of stuff is coming out about this card. And like you said, when we were talking earlier, they had the press conference last week. There's a lot of talking going on. So we've already discussed some of this stuff, but we're going to run back into it because it's getting close. This fight is getting freaking close.
Yeah.
And I think December is going to be on fire when it comes to combat sports. So we've got a fight on this card. Let's talk about this first. We've got an ex-NFL player facing a retired NBA player. Is he
NBA.
retired? Yeah, an NBA player. So I've got some thoughts for you guys out there. Who would be the better fighter theoretically? Before we see this shine, because neither of these guys have any, from what I'm aware of, any boxing experience.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't got no experience. I'm interested to see what your thoughts on, Chris, because one of the fighters is named Frank Gore. That's the NFL player.
Yep.
And then he's facing Darian Williams, if I'm correct.
Yep. And he's an NBA player.
And he's an NBA player.
Yep.
So look, I give props to Jake Paul for allowing, these kind of fighters to shine on his undercard. He's also got Amanda Serrano on there. She's a dominant boxer, dominant women's boxer. And besides Clarissa Shields, she's probably the most dominant of the women's in the boxing.
Right.
So let's be real. Frank Gore is 38 years old. Darian Williams is 37 years old.
37.
And Frank Gore, I was looking it up. It just says he's a free agent. It doesn't say that he's necessarily retired, but nobody, like you said, nobody picked him up.
He's a free agent.
Yeah. So, he's looking to make some money. He's on the Jake Paul card. What are your thoughts about this, man?
I think it would be like that fantasy, like, a football player can kick an NBA player's ass any day of the week because football is more physical than basketball. I think that is what the fantasy will lie in. I think that's going to just I think it's going to make everyone's minds go crazy of like, what happens if Ray Lewis fought Shaquille O'Neal in the octagon or the boxing ring? Or what happens if Jeremy Shockey fought Ron Artest in the ring? Like, I think it just brings up more questions of more fantasies of super fights. I think that's what it'll come down to. I think that would be so much fun to actually get into. And Frank Gore fights a basketball player. I think that's going to be an interesting fight. Because Frank Gore is pretty husky to Williams. Williams is he's pretty stocky himself, but he's a little twig compared to Frank Gore. Frank Gore is a solid muscle. It's pretty impressive.
So what weight do you think this fight would be at? Like what?
Oh, jeez. Frank Gore is at least 2-something.
That's what I'm saying. So do you think Darian Williams is?
He has to be 2-something too. He's probably.
So
2-something.
they could be potentially at what? I think Jake
boxing
Paul,
is different from the weights.
That's what I'm saying. So I think Jake Paul fights at cruiserweight. I think he's around 195, if I'm correct. I don't really know, honestly, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Jake Paul fights at cruiserweight. Now, their divisions, like I said, their weight divisions are
so different.
So different. There's so many more of them. There's, super middleweight, middleweight. Like, there's just so many. There's so many belts, and I love boxing, but it's very hard to keep up
with all the titles.
With all the titles and all the divisions.
Many.
So, when you look at it, Darian Williams is obviously, he's a basketball player, so he's taller. He's 6'3".
Darren Williams, by the way.
Darren Williams.
Darren
Williams. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. I apologize. I'm pronouncing it like there's an I in it, and there's not an I. So okay.
Yeah,
so
he's 6'3".
Darren Williams.
He's 6'3".
So he's 6'3". Frank Gore is what, 5'8", 5'9"? There's going to be a significant height difference.
And pretty substantial.
And I don't know, so when you get into some thoughts about this, is there going to be protective headgear?
There better not be.
They have no experience.
So what?
They have no experience.
I think if
in
you
boxing.
put headgear on in any kind of boxing fight, that's being televised, it's boring. That celebrity boxing crap, when I had headgear on, boring.
Yeah, it is boring.
It's like you if you want it to be exciting and thrilling and see someone get knocked out, no headgear. That's almost a guarantee or a mandatory statement there.
Yeah, I don't know about this fight because it has that kind of celebrity boxing, aura about it in a way. It's just like, I mean, they have no experience and they're going to go into this fight with what, a month and a week to train if they haven't already trained.
They've probably been training.
I mean, I would hope so. I would hope they're not just, hey, let's just do this. 1 month away. Yeah, why not? Let's try it. I don't really know. I mean, so we got Diego chiming in. Don't forget about Sean Brady. Sean Brady. He's
a welterweight.
Yeah, he's a welterweight. He's a UFC fighter, right?
Right.
Yeah, but I didn't hear any news about him potentially fighting lately. I heard that he was supposed to be on the Misha Tate card on November 20th. He said something about it on Twitter, but I'm looking at the card every week. I don't see him on there. I don't really know if he has a scheduled fight. He doesn't really post much on his Instagram or Twitter. So I'm hoping. I mean, he's undefeated and he's been out of action for a while in the UFC. Mm-hmm. But yeah, let's hope he fights because I'm interested. We're going to get into the UFC stuff in a minute. However, we're still on this topic because Jake Paul's been talking a lot of crap, right?
Yeah.
And things have been getting... So when we announced this fight, right? We announced it as breaking news. It was official. We had our thoughts on it before it became official.
Yep.
We knew that this fight was potentially happening. We were hoping it was happening so he could get away from this MMA phase that he's,
beating up retired fighters.
Yeah.
And speaking of the retired fighters, Tommy Fury in the press conference called him out on it. He says, you're beating up washed up fighters, you're beating retired fighters, you're beating NBA players, you're writing in people's contracts that it's rigged, that he don't want to lose and all this other junk. And Tommy Fury says, that ain't gonna happen. I'm gonna beat your ass because I love boxing and my family will disown me if I lose to you. And Tyson Fury says, if he loses, he's not getting a flight home. They're going to cancel his flight ticket and let him know you ain't coming home. So that is crazy to hear. I know it might be a goof, but I don't know. Tyson Fury's like, yo, you ain't coming home if you lose to this YouTuber. And Tommy Fury's like, I'll lose all credibility, all this. His career will pretty much be shot as a real pro boxer. If you want to go into that realm and down that pathway, you cannot lose to Jake Paul. And I don't think he wants to lose. I think this is going to be the best test for Jake Paul to know if he's a real boxer or a fake. I think this is the best test he can have.
It's the best test. And for someone like Jake Paul, because a lot of people are like, oh, he's talking a lot of shit, he's talking a lot of smack, But that's Jake Paul. Like, when you look at his YouTube videos, he's a parody, he has parody videos. He's a big, cocky son of a gun to begin with.
That's a facade. Like Kobe Covington. He's an entertainer.
So he's
a fake. Yeah. Because he's a real humble dude outside of cameras. Real humble dude. There's a lot of videos of him being a real cool dude.
So he's got to keep up with that persona.
Right.
He's got to keep up.
Same thing with Kobe Covington. Like the other day, what happened? He said, to Usman, I respect you. You let me know. Like, it's all about the money and all that shit. Right? And when Kobe got back in the cameras, I didn't say that. That's Cremo Snoozeman. Like, it's an entertaining purposes only. Like, they're pretty much portraying as a character. They're a character. There's like, you want me to be a dick? Perfect. I don't mind being that guy. I'm gonna be a real asshole, and then get us all money. That's what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah. And it works,
It does work.
It works. He sells these fights. He's making a lot of money outside of YouTube as well. I mean, like, he's putting a lot of fighters on this card, a lot of non-fighters,
Get them paid.
And yeah, I mean, it's working. He comes out all the time. He attacks Dana White. You don't pay your fighters enough. They're gonna come on my fight card, and that's It's working.
Mhm.
I used to think this shit was kind of clownish for the boxing industry, but I think like when Jake Paul first started and he was with Thriller, I took that stuff as a joke.
Well, yeah.
And I also think like deep down he was like, I want more out of this than this kind of Thriller crap. I don't even really think he liked that Thriller banner because of the fact that, you know, when he was fighting and they had all those celebrity,
Boxers.
they had all those celebrity boxers. They had all those celebrity singing and whatnot, all those appearances. And he wasn't down for that crap. He's more of like a, you know, trying to make himself look professional. And it's working, you know, it's working. He's now with Showtime, you know, and it looks more professional.
Well, here's the thing, right? Like him or not, you're going to watch.
Oh, yeah.
Casual or not, people are going to watch. Why? Because they want to see him win, to create more drama and all this other goofy stuff. Or you're going to see him lose because you just don't like the guy. Same thing with Mayweather. People like him and hate him. And they watch him because, one, he's the best, and people want to see him lose.
They want
It's
to
the
see
same principle of Jake Paul. People like him, some people hate him, and people just want to be a troll. And it's just what it is. He's a PR genius, really. I think Jake Paul is one of the best PR guys that we know of because he sells fights. He gets people watching him, no matter if you want to see him win or lose. He's really clever, I'll be honest.
It's working for him. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
you know?
Don't fix it.
Old saying.
And
right there.
I'm pumped. You know, I think this smack talking's only going to get worse. Maybe potentially more personal
when it gets closer.
When it gets closer, it's already gotten personal. See, when the rules came out, and you know they were trying to say that if Tommy loses, you know he has to change his name legally
To
Tommy Fumbles. I thought this was a joke. This is in the contract. It's legit. They have
That
this.
shit's so funny.
Yeah. It's so interesting to hear that because it brings more of like basically when he fought Tyron Woodley, right? Mm-hmm. And he was like, you got to get I love Jake Paul on your finger. Jake Paul, you know, he lost. Or no, Tyron Woodley lost. So he got the tattoo on his middle finger as a FU to Jake Paul.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, he did get the tattoo. So, I mean, it is what it is. But if Jake Paul were to beat Tommy Fury, mm-hmm. you know, man, that's really hard. You know, when your half-brother is Tyson Fury, one of the greatest boxers of this current time. Mm-hmm. And potentially one of the greatest heavyweights. I mean, we can't really get into that, you know, when you have Mike Tyson and Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, like
George Foreman. We can go down the list. There's a lot of good heavyweights.
Yeah. So we can't really. I don't know if he can top them yet. I mean, it is a different time. You know, he is fighting different opponents, but I mean, they're in my opinion. Mike Tyson, man, the crazy shit that he did, man.
Well, if we're going to that, right, is Mike Tyson is potentially fighting Logan Paul.
Yeah. I wish this would be on the same card. I really freaking do. It would be so great. Yeah. And I'm sorry for all you Jake and Logan fans out there, but if they were to lose on the same night the same card,
be Christmas.
Oh, and that's what I'm saying. So it's a week before Christmas. I'm pretty sure December 18th, that's 7 days away from Christmas, right? Yep. It's officially 1 week. Give me that Christmas present, man. I mean, but at the same time, you want to see, some people want to see him lose, but it's like he's bringing a lot of hype into boxing. He's got us talking about him 1 month before he fights. And
well, I think that's what it is that he's helping boxing a lot. Jake Paul is definitely helping boxing a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Bringing more people back to boxing, looking at it more, all that. I think he helps boxing by a long shot. Also, the same thing with Logan. Logan called out Tyson Fury. He says, I'll fight your brother on the same card as my brother.
Yeah.
So, like, why don't we have Jake versus Tommy and Logan fight Tyson Fury? I think that's a brilliant idea. I think Logan has a good idea. I think that would bring a lot of people to the sport because some people don't like Jake, they like Logan, and some people don't like Logan, they like Jake. So I think that helps, especially all the boxing fans who love boxing. You're gonna say Tyson Fury beat up Logan, and it's all on Showtime. So what the shit? Why not?
Oh my God, the Logan's getting pretty crazy with calling out Mike Tyson, Tyson Fury. I mean,
He's just trying to get his name out
He's
there.
trying to get his name
a
out.
payday too.
But I mean, yeah, and then he fought Floyd Mayweather. So I mean, he is fighting some people that he could potentially die in the ring with, man. When you're fighting Mike Tyson, even though Mike Tyson's what, 50 years old, 50-something years old. I mean, and when we seen him fight last, I mean, he looked great.
Yeah, against Roy Jones. Yeah, he's looking. Roy Jones, got it.
Yeah,
he still has some speed and power. Like, I just wish they would have been able to punch in the face.
Yeah,
I would love to see what would happen. I think that's a game changer. Because Tyson hit him in the body for a couple good ones. Roy Jones looked good too himself because he's still more recently active than Mike back in what was it, like a year ago?
Yeah.
So
I think it was 2020, right?
Yeah, I think Mike would just be better if he can hit punch in the face too. And Roy Jones, no, he didn't want no part of that. He's like, nah, I'm good. 5 shots only, prison rules.
You don't want that.
We want prison rules only.
You don't want that smoke, bro.
You don't want that.
I'm telling you, Logan, I know you want to fight these guys, but you do not want the smoke from Mike Tyson or even Tyson Fury. I mean,
I think Tyson Fury might be a little bit easier than Mike. I do. If I was Logan Paul, I'd rather get punched in the face by Tyson Fury. And no way I would want to get punched by Mike. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Or your ear bitten off, you know. I mean,
you can bite my ear. Don't punch me in the face. Honestly, if I was in the ring with Mike Tyson, bite me in the ear. I don't give a shit. It's all right. I can super glue that shit back on. You punch me in the head, I might be in a coma for like 10 months. There's no way I'm gonna get punched by Mike. Get the hell out.
No way. I mean, we're gonna see. I mean, Jake Paul, you know, he's going to fight. You know, Tommy Fury. We're gonna see who takes that L, man. One of them is gonna take that L.
We'll see who happens.
And you know, no matter who loses, it's gonna hurt both of them. You know, and not so much Jake Paul. I mean, Jake Paul will still make tons of money. You know, you know, and he'll ride off into the sunset. But I mean, if he's able to capitalize and beat Tommy Fury and take that 7,
I think that would be a different conversation too. If he beats Tommy Fury, we're like, is he a real boxer? Is he that good? Are we just calling him a YouTuber because that's all we know him from, or a Disney Channel kid? Because he might surprise everyone. And if he did beat Tommy Fury, everyone's talking about him really differently. Oh, who's he fighting next? Who's he going to call out next? Because that's what would happen if Jake Paul wins. People are looking at the next fight already because they want to see him lose. They can't stand him, or whatever the case might be. But if Tommy Fury wins, Jake Paul dies. Like, I just feel like his whole boxing career dies.
Yeah.
Like, the whole hype train gets derailed, all of it. That's if Jake Paul loses. But if Tommy Fury loses, it's a whole different conversation. It's just like night and day, kind of. It's almost night and day. If Jake wins, there's like all kinds of crazy stuff that can happen. If Tommy wins, then you're like, oh, Tommy Fury's actually a real boxer. No surprise. We all thought he was going to win.
Yeah.
And if Jake Paul's career of boxing just goes to shambles.
And from what I heard, Tyson Fury's going to be in Tommy Fury's corner.
Yeah, I heard
so
that.
if he takes that L with his half brother sitting right there, man, and after what we've heard from Tyson Fury saying he's going to disown his brother.
Oh, I don't blame him.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Oh, it's going to be rough if he's right there in the corner and you can't even look at your brother. It's going to be a shame. But, you know, that's December 18th. That's the same day as Derek Lewis fighting. And I love Derek Lewis, so we're going to have to see.
Oh, there's going to be a lot of channel flipping back and forth.
It's going to be a lot. It may be that kind of night where there's two I don't really know if any of these bars are going to show Jake Paul, you know?
They will.
You think so?
100%.
Because I'm pretty sure. What day is December 18th? Is that a Saturday or is it Sunday?
I don't know.
I
think it's a Saturday. It's a Saturday. Showtime's always Saturdays. Showtime Saturdays.
Yeah, I felt like last time he fought, it was a Sunday, though.
No, Showtime only shows on Saturdays.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Showtime Saturdays.
I don't know. We're going to have to find out. But let's be real. What's your prediction, your early prediction of Darren Williams versus Frank Gore?
Frank Gore.
You think the NFL
Oh, yeah.
is going to capitalize?
I do. I
for-
think Frank Gore is going to break him down.
For all you guys out there watching right now, who wins that fight? Frank Gore or Darren Williams? NFL versus NBA. Who is the more superior of the fighter, of the star,
Frank
as you
Gore.
would?
I think football, I just personally feel football because I think it's more physical and more demanding than basketball. I really do. There might be basketball fans who would just argue with me saying, oh, you got to box out. You got to do this. You got to do that. I just think football is just bang, bang, bang all day long. I think it's just what it is. That's my opinion.
So do you know, Darren Williams, do you know when he was last active? Because from what I'm reading, he's been out of
I don't even
activity for a while. I think it's been a while. I mean,
I don't even know what team he played on.
I don't either. You are the more basketball and football
I'm more of a
knowledge person.
football guy. Basketball, I know a lot of the old stuff, the new stuff.
Please help us, Vinny. What you got, bro?
Well, yeah. So Darren Williams, he last played in 2016.
Yikes.
Oh, so okay, all right. And then Frank Gore was what on the Jets 2020?
Yeah, Frank Gore's been bouncing around the league. It might have been the Dolphins, or I forget. He's been on so many. I think
Frank Gore's been on like
Jets.
10 different teams.
Yeah, the last couple of years he's been everywhere.
He's
All
been
right,
the Niners, the all kinds of teams, man.
So we'll have to see. I mean, I'm not. I'm more of an NFL guy. Than an NBA guy. I think Frank Gore can do this. I do.
Well, I think the thing is, too, with the size advantage that Williams has is he has an incredible reach on Frank Gore. There's no question about it. He has the reach because the height, because Frank Gore's going to have to punch up. Williams going to have to punch down. And I think if Frank Gore has the good movement, as he should because of a football player doing quick cuts and jukes and all that, I think he should have the speed and the power. I think Williams has the reach, and that's it, to be honest. I don't think he has good footwork because I don't think basketball players have that great of a footwork either. I think Frank Gore has all the advantages towards Williams, and Williams just has the reach.
What do you think this fight does for both of them? What are they in this for?
I think what they're doing is creating pathways for all other ex-sports players, baseball, basketball, football, soccer, whatever the case may be, hockey, whatever sports you're in. I think this is another gateway to gain money and popularity because people know who you are, like your name. I think it helps them with their money or financial gain or whatever it is. I think it helps a lot. They're like, oh, Nate Robinson fought, right? Hey, Williams and Frank Gore, do you guys want to fight? Because you're football, you're looking for money. Williams, you're looking for money, blah, blah, blah. You can't play your sports no more. Come to boxing. Ah, shit, why not? I'll go fight somebody for a couple grand.
So you think it's money? Yeah,
I do.
I mean,
I think it helps all the sports players, really. If they all see this, they're like, oh, they're doing it. Well, why don't I do this? I don't know how to fight. No one cares I can't fight. They just want to see me fight.
So Joe Sullivan says Williams has the reach, but Gore has the power.
Yeah.
Thank you for chiming in, Joe. Yeah, I think, when power comes into play, depending on if they have headgear, I
don't think they're going to have headgear.
Really?
It takes the fun out. Yeah, no headgear. No way.
Ooh, no
way.
No boxing history, no boxing.
No, there's no way. Especially if they're going on Showtime. The Showtime is not going to allow you to go on their program
that is
and
true.
Wear headgear.
That is true.
No way they're going to let that happen.
I mean, that is possibly true. I mean, we're going to have to see. I mean, it creates a lot of interest, because, see, Jake Paul's smart, like you said. So he's like, oh, we can have an NFL player fight. We can have an NBA player fight. And it brings, eyes from those sports, where, they don't necessarily follow combat sports. And they're like, we're going to tune in,
Because I want to see if people who love the Niners or any teams that Frank Gore has played for, they're like, oh, I know Frank Gore. He's fighting this guy? Oh, I'm definitely going to see this. Even though you might not be a fighting fan, but you are a fan of the sport, like you said, and fan of the player, you're going to watch that guy fight someone else. Same thing for that basketball player, Williams. People might really like Williams. They're like, oh, he's fighting? Oh, I want to see him beat on Frank Gore. Or if you don't like Frank Gore, hey, you ruined my fantasy 3 years ago. You suck. I want to see you get your ass kicked. They're going to watch that too.
Yeah.
So I think it's like a collective of things all around the bubble where they're all going to come into play because of all those scenarios I just said that they want to see this happen.
Yeah. And I'm interested in it,
Yeah.
I'm interested in it. Any kind of eyes that can bring into the combat sports industry, I'm all for it,
Yeah.
Bring those casuals over, Bring them over, and they'll be tuned in to watch this fight. And why not, Why not, why not bring more eyes onto this sport? And I thank Jake Paul for doing it. I hate the guy at the end of the day, but, if he can bring eyes to both of these sports, and it works. It works for me.
Yeah, and speaking of boxing, what do you think about Canelo being called labeled maybe the best ever?
I don't know, because he's 53-1. He's only lost to Mayweather. He dominated Gennady Golovkin. He dominated several people. He dominated Cal Plant on Saturday.
Yeah,
and made him look like he
didn't belong there.
He didn't belong there.
No, and that's the thing is that people are saying, oh, do you rank him in the best ever? Well, there's a lot of best ever. You got Muhammad Ali, Frazier, Tyson, Mayweather, Pacquiao, Sugar Ray Robinson. There's a lot of greats. And to put him in that category of greats,
he's fought in more weight divisions, though. He's fought in a significant amount of weight divisions. So he's unified the belts at super middleweight, I think. I think it's
so does Sugar Ray Robinson. Sugar Ray Robinson has over 200 fights.
That is true. Yeah. That is true.
So the thing is to say Canelo the GOAT, I can't say it. I can't.
He only lost against the GOAT, from what everybody says. Floyd Mayweather's the GOAT, and that's his only loss, man.
I think what happens is when you say someone's the GOAT, I think it's a personal preference and a personal opinion. Because you could say, people say Mayweather's the GOAT. Me, I say Sugar Ray Robinson. I think he fought a hell of a lot more, and he beat a lot of tough fighters. That's my opinion. I think it just goes to a personal preference, is to say who is the GOAT. But Canelo, to say he's a GOAT, I think no. But if to say he's a great fighter, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think the thing is, I think he's going to fight, his next fight might be Charlo, one of the Charlo brothers.
Yeah. It's a possibility for him to fight that, or he can go up to. See, I'm not aware of what division he unified on Saturday, and I'm ashamed of that. I know it was 168 pounds, so I know it was a 168 pound division, and I think. Why not go up? You're 32 years old. Why stay in that division? Obviously, you're going to either have to drop those belts, and now he's got 5? 4 or 5 belts?
Yeah, he unified it and got 5.
Yeah, so it's just crazy the amount of belts. I can't keep up with all of that. I'm sorry. It's very significant. And when you think about it, like when he's fought 54 times, and he's 32 years old. He's 32. I think he's just reaching his prime. So
that's what everyone's saying. He might be just hitting his prime. Yeah.
I think it's the ultimate, task for him to go up to fight more opponents, better opponents. Will he fight Jamel or Jamal? They're brothers.
Yeah.
So they're. I think one of them's a champion. If not, both of them may be a champion. But I think they're different.
Weights.
I think they're at different weights. I'm not sure. But let's be real. I think Canelo is one of the greatest today, one of the greatest boxers today, just based off of all the opponents he's faced and how many undefeated opponents he's faced and just took in their undefeated record. It's impressive. You can't deny it,
Right.
So, we also have UFC this weekend. It's not as good as these last 2 weeks have been. We were spoiled, okay? Let's be real. We were spoiled with 2 pay-per-views back to back. We've got Max Holloway. Max Blessed Holloway coming back. I think he hasn't fought in over a year. And the last time he fought, there was... Look, he's lost to the champion Alexander Volkanovski twice already.
Right.
I don't know what his plans are. You know, he went up to lightweight. He fought Dustin Poirier. He got starched. He got starched by Dustin Poirier when he went up to lightweight. So now he went back down to featherweight to try and, I guess, get another title shot. So he's going to face Yair Rodriguez.
That's a tough opponent.
Yair Rodriguez has also been out since 2019.
Yep.
So let's talk about this, because Yair Rodriguez, for those who do not know, he was caught by USADA not with performance enhancing drugs. He was caught because supposedly with the USADA you're supposed to go on their app. They have an app. I don't know if you're aware of this, Chris, but they have an app where you're supposed to tell them where you are located at all times.
Really?
So that, yeah, USADA's fucking crazy, bro. USADA is crazy. You have to let them know where you are at all times if you're in the USADA, the active drug pool, so that they can come to test you wherever you are located. So Yair Rodriguez did not update his location on where he was. They were aware of that, and they suspended him because of that. Now, they gave him, I think most of the time they give you a 12-month ban or suspension for that, which is just fucking crazy. It's just insane. I get it. You know, you're in the USADA pool. Like, you're supposed to, you're supposed to be drug tested whenever they need to drug test you. But, so he's been out of action ever since then. So this is his first fight coming back since this suspension, and he's fighting a dog in Max Holloway. I don't know where Max Holloway currently stands, because it's kind of like you lost to the champion twice, right?
Right.
So you've lost to Alexander Volkanovski twice. You've tried to go up in weight, didn't work. So you come back down. He's also been calling. He also this week has said his next fight, regardless of win or loss from Yair Rodriguez, I mean, he's obviously hoping for another title shot, but he's saying he's on Conor McGregor's list. See, he already lost to Conor McGregor way back
in decision
when Conor McGregor was on that Hungry tour, and he was hungry for that championship. So I don't know, obviously Conor McGregor, we don't know where he stands right now. He's got a lot of potential thoughts about who he's going to fight next. But Max Holloway, in my opinion, he may get another title shot if he beats Yair. Yair Rodriguez is no joke, by any means, regardless of how inactive he's been.
Yeah, I think what would happen is Max Holloway would have to beat Yair and somebody else convincingly to be another title contention. I think if he beats Yair, he can't go right to the titles. I don't see it happening.
No, especially when you lost to the current champion twice. I mean, and once was when Alexander Volkanovski took the belt from him. So, I mean, Alexander dethroned him. He fought him again, and Alexander Volkanovski, they were both decisions. So he didn't like knock them. He didn't knock Max.
But people feel that Max Holloway got robbed in one of the fights. I think it was the first one or the second one.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of tough.
It's tough. It is tough. I mean, we're gonna have to find out. I mean, let's be real. This card isn't as stacked, but we also had Kyle Dawkins on this card.
Yeah.
He's a Philadelphia native, and his fight was canceled twice. So he was supposed to fight Kevin Holland, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Holland pulled out of the fight, and now this other guy, I actually don't have his name. I think it's Roman Dolizzi. I may butcher his name. It is what it is, because it doesn't matter. The fight is off, so we don't get to see Kyle Dawkins fighting.
Nope.
We're gonna have to see if it gets rescheduled. I mean, I'm interested in Kyle Dawkins. I represent, the fact that he's from Philadelphia. I love it. Yep. We're Philadelphians here. We represent them all. So like Diego was saying, Sean Brady, I'm hoping he's on the fight card pretty soon. We're going to have to see. and I was devastated when Paul Felder, when he retired, because he was another Philadelphian. But we have Ben Rothwell on, fighting in heavyweight against Marcus Rogeria de Lima. And, that's just probably another fight. They're Ben Rothwell is almost at 40 years old. So,
yeah.
But when it comes to heavyweight, you never lose that power. And I think everybody is like, trying to get to that potential Francis Ngannou fight, depending.
Well, speaking of Francis Ngannou, I know we're getting off track and everything. Did you see him walk past?
Yeah, I did.
Cyril Gane?
I sure did, and he ignored the shit out of him.
Yo, that was so disrespectful, but I loved it.
They're former training partners.
Right.
Yeah.
Francis Ngannou walked past him like, I don't know you. Like, you know how a couple shows ago we talked about that? If you're training with someone, do you fight that person, yay or nay?
Yeah.
I was against it. I said, nope. You do not fight your training partners because it feels like you guys are bros and you backstabbed me. What are you going for my title for? We're supposed to be homies. And you're
I thought they trained. I thought one of them changed camps.
Well, they did now. Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, man, we're supposed to be boys, and you're gonna go and try to fight me, and you're against saying, "Oh, if I'm going for the title, I'm gonna fight you, my training partner." I was against it. So
sometimes you have to choose like that when it comes to friends and everything. So, like, if you're gonna fight a friend, and he has that belt. Sometimes you got to put those differences aside.
No, you
you're
don't. You
there for
become
the chance.
boys. You're boys. You don't fight your homie. If I'm your boy, hold on. If I'm your boy, I have the title. You want my title? Why? Why we're friends? Go to a different weight class. Why are you in mine? Go somewhere else.
I get that aspect. I get it. But I mean, let's be real. I don't think Cyril Gane or Francis Ngannou is ever making light heavyweight.
No.
I don't. They weigh in so significantly higher.
Right, they're big boys.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the heavyweight division, it starts at 205 and goes all the way up to 265 pounds. Yeah. Most of those guys are well over 265, cutting down to 265. So I don't think Cyril Gane came into this knowing eventually he was going to have to fight Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou was no dumbass. He knew that this fight was going to potentially happen. Right. When you're the champion,
everybody wants a piece.
Everybody wants a piece. Friends or not, sometimes you got to put those differences aside. I mean,
yeah,
it's just that's just how it is. I mean, and you have to put those differences aside if you want to be a champion. If you're in this to be a fighter and to be a champion, and your friend or your teammate, I mean, what makes it more significantly interesting when that fight happens in January is the fact that they are teammates. Who won those sparring sessions? Obviously, if they sparred together, one of those knows something more than they're talking about. One of them won those sparring sessions.
Well, remember that one guy who came in from the sparring sessions to fight DC, and he said he bullied him all through sparring, made him cry and everything. But guess what happened during a fight? DC spanked him.
Yeah.
Quick.
Yeah.
So it's very different. When you're in the gym, some people be more lazy, and then the other person beats you up in the gym. You're like, oh, I beat you up in the gym. And you're like, cool. I was taking it easy, but you're not going to tell that training partner, hey, I was relaxed on you. You beat me, but I was relaxed on you. When we get in the middle of the octagon or the boxing ring and it's time for the real fight, then I'll show up. Because then you overhype yourself. You're like, oh, I'm going to beat this guy's ass. I beat him up in sparring for like 10 years straight, and now I get to fight him in the ring. Totally different ball game. Totally different ball game. Like regular season in football, you can beat someone's ass every day in the football, right? And then you come to the playoffs, you might lose to them every time in the playoffs. Yeah. Different ball games. Same thing with training. Very different.
And we also have Chris Cyborg fighting in Bellator this weekend. Look, I know, Chris, you didn't want to bring it up,
nope,
but I know, I get it. When you talk about the GOAT in Amanda Nunes, and then she beat Chris Cyborg, and what the fuck is Chris Cyborg doing running from Amanda Nunes, and then she goes to Bellator to become their featherweight champion?
Because she's
a bum.
Yeah, like she wants to make herself relevant, and she can't fight nobody with any kind of skill to them. So they go to Bellator, and she just beats on people out there. See,
I loved Chris. I had mad love for Chris Cyborg.
Well, that's too bad.
Hey, it is what it is. Until she ran from Amanda Nunes after she lost, and she was just like, oh, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna go be with Scott Coker in Bellator, and he's gonna get me a championship there.
She's trash.
And I'm gonna fight a bunch of bums. So let's be real. We're getting to the end of this show. We've got UFC action this weekend. We'll be back on Sunday to cover all the action and all the results and all the thoughts on all these breaking news that keeps on happening. The fights are just getting started, man. The next pay-per-view is going to be fire, and I'm sure there will be a lot of news to come out of that. Please stay tuned. Go to our YouTube page, subscribe, comment below in the video. Go to watch us on Apple Podcasts. Go watch us on Spotify. Go watch us on Facebook. We're everywhere that you can see our video. Where you see podcasts, we're there. Do not be afraid to hit that subscribe button. We love the support. We've also got a lot of Devereaux Sports podcasts as well. We've got the Gobble Rink. They'll be live in studio Sunday, 9 o'clock in the morning, covering a lot of NFL, hockey, and basketball.
All that good stuff.
All that good stuff. We'll be back in the studio on Sunday. And then on Monday, we've got the Sullivan Squad. And they'll cover all the reactions from all this coming weekend's.
They're like post-game show. They're a
Yeah.
post-game show from the Eagles, Flyers, Sixers, and all that. Then we also have the old school show. They go back in time and relive all the Philadelphia sports and the old-fashioned time.
Go watch their video. They just did Eric Lindros. That was a great video, yo.
Yeah.
That was a great video last night. And go watch them. And then we also have the Breakfast and Body Slams. They're live Sundays at 11 a.m. as well as they'll be live tomorrow on Thursdays. They're live Sundays and Thursdays every week. I think it's bi-weekly now. I'm not sure.
Don't know.
But look for Breakfast and Body Slams for all you wrestling fans out there. They have a lot of great content. For me, for Chris, for Vinny Quinn, for Devereaux Sports family. Have a great night, guys. Thank you for watching.